In this video net interview at IBC 2012, I'm speaking with Ian Mecklenburgh, who's Director of Consumer Platforms for Digital Entertainments at Virgin Media. Hello, Ian.
Hi there. Good to see you.
Now, I know you're talking later, and one of the themes of this show is really the hybrid platform for pay TV operators. Now, something that you've done a long time ago with your TiVo next generation platform. So once you've got consumers and you've given them the choice of having it as on-demand or IP or linear, what are they really doing? Are they using the new things that you've given them, or are they very sort of conservative in their habits?
What's been really interesting is with the TiVo platform, we try to actually integrate everything through a single experience. So the customers are using traditional linear, VOD, iPlayer, over-the-top video, YouTube, but they're not actually actively going out to use them as discrete services. They're actually just wanting to see content and content assets. So they're using all of those different technologies, but not necessarily aware of it, so through the single TiVo UI. So we're still seeing a lot of iPlayer views. People are getting to that largely through the backwards grid. So we have obviously the 7-day backwards EPG. So people are launching something like the iPlayer, an OTT video service through the grid. If they choose a program from ITV or one of the other PSBs, they'll actually be watching that asset from our traditional VOD server. So they're actually exploring the range of content that's available to them, but they're not consciously saying, I will make an IP connection, I will launch this service, I will do that. We're also looking at enhancing this. We're sort of using the apps to build into the core UI. So, for example, the extended red button type of service, where we're saying, actually, you're in a channel, would you want to extend this with a connected application? And then that launches from a linear channel into an IP video app that actually then comes through it. Okay. So the nice thing is they're doing all these things, we're just not telling them they are. Yeah,
so it's very much what you expected or what you hoped for when you launched the platform. That was the big push, wasn't it, to make it the old TV experience?
Absolutely, the through the middle, as we were calling it then, and that sort of seems to have stuck, which is sort of saying, you know, keep our TiVo remote control in your hand and leave yourself on HDMI 1, and we'll bring all of these services through to you.
Okay. With the catch-up, I mean, we've seen 2 other 7-day EPGs launched this summer, obviously.
It's very flattering.
And yes, and I mean, do you expect that to push on-demand viewing even higher, or has it? I mean, you've been doing this for some time.
We've seen some difference. One of the things is, you know, we did 1 billion VOD views last year, which was always the stat we've been using. That's, you know, it was a nice stat. We're still seeing those kind of VOD views and behaviours. It's just the nature of the content is shifting. I mean, you know, there's some good stats and sort of figures that we use. So we're already seeing that actually 35% of the viewing on the platform doesn't go through a traditional grid-based EPG. So again, this is sort of, it's just becoming a natural behaviour to our customers to use either linear, set up a recording or go to VOD, not through a time-based EPG, but actually wanting to see a programme or a particular type of programme, which is the TiVo search recommendation, the curation story that we've been giving.
Okay, and I know on the old Virgin platform, the on-demand used to be coming off of your VOD servers. Now we're hearing more and more about sort of cloud and things like that. But I think with TiVo, you now go out to the internet to get some of it, don't you?
We do. I mean, it's basically it's hidden to the viewer, but we traditionally use, you know, our traditional QAM-based video distribution service for delivering a lot of the VOD. For iPlayer, YouTube, any of those, we'll take those through the box has a dedicated IP connection. So we can go out to the internet, or we have agreements where, you know, CDNs sort of are closer into our network. So we, you know, obviously for the high volume content, we work closely with the content providers to move their IP content, whether it's internet or IP, closer into our network, depending on sort of the scale we're expecting.
Okay, and this through the middle, you've still got your guaranteed 10 megabits. And is that enough? I mean, you haven't sort of seen the need to increase that at all?
Not yet. I mean, one of the things we did with the whole of the TiVo platform was try to avoid spec wars. So it's actually what you do with it rather than what it is. So the 10 meg's absolutely fine for the video we're distributing at the moment. The congestion, if you ever see congestion, it tends to be where content's coming from outside of our network. So within our network, obviously the speeds are there and we can deliver it. But at peak times, there may actually be internet congestion because a lot of people are pulling on the same video sources outside. And again, we didn't realise we were going to be so far ahead of a lot of other people, but we're having to solve these problems as we go along with the various partners, because suddenly we made up a new platform that everyone else is getting to. And then as we all start sharing this, the whole of the internet, or sort of the concentrations of activity around Olympics and other things start to create that congestion. So.
Yeah, so even your 100 megabit last mile, you've got bottlenecks further up that you need to overcome.
Yeah, when you go outside, unless we all become one massive network, there's always going to be a bottleneck somewhere in the chain.
Of course.
But thankfully we avoid most of that. So.
Okay, now red button, you mentioned it earlier, and the BBC are delighted with the impact that their red buttons had this summer on the Olympics, and very much view it as a next generation red button, if you like. I mean, on TiVo, red button obviously links out through IP, and I presume there's a whole wealth of content now that we didn't have before. So do you view it in the same light? Is it still, as a user behaviour, is that still a very primary sort of interactive TV approach?
It is, and our predecessor platforms weren't as advanced on some of the red button services. But with the TiVo service, we've embraced the red button. We have a similar view. We work very closely with the BBC. So the Olympics app for us was very successful. We've been doing a lot of work with them, and the way we see the red button is it's actually an extension of the channel that you're actually on. So it enables you to, through a metaphor people in the UK particularly are used to, you can press the red button and get additional options, whether it's more streams, more views, an interactive overlay, which is a more natural way of selecting it than going into a menu structure and launching an app to do something. So we see red button as a way of extending the linear experience.
Okay, and talk about extended linear experiences. I think you've just announced more companion apps, or sort of an umbrella companion app, I suppose we'd call it. So just explain what features that gives you as a consumer, first of all.
Yeah, so it's Virgin Media TV Anywhere, and it's it sounds strange to say a traditional. It's an iPad-based application that, in the first instance, we work with TiVo in the US to act as an extension to the user interface of the set-top box. So it allows you to search, browse, interact, program, do all the things that you would expect to do with a very, very high-powered remote control. The social media features all sit on that screen, which we feel is more appropriate than necessarily on the TV screen. But as we looked at what customers wanted to do, we realised that actually building streaming capability was also very important to act as a true second screen. So the application allows you to take a number of channels. There's obviously rights issues and various other things. Take those additional channels into the iPad experience as well. So we'll be doing Android next year, but there's a natural market forces. So it's a great, it extends the TiVo experience in terms of the UI, but also allows our customers to start to take additional content with them.
Okay, so in terms of the content consumption, you're actually streaming it off the DVR hard drive?
It's actually coming from the network, so I hate using the cloud word, but it's actually it's coming. So one of the reasons for that is, I hope I'm not leaking too much here, but it'll be coming out soon. We have something called an away mode.
Okay. Right, so that's natural to do it from the cloud in that case.
Yeah.
Okay, and just in terms of the pay TV operator and the companion app generally, I mean, we're hearing a lot about second screen show-based apps, and broadcasters would like to drive you into their second screen apps. And there's a view that maybe the pay TV operator could have an umbrella app in which all these show apps kind of launch and partner with the broadcaster. I mean, what's your view on that? Do you think that we will see show apps and channel apps all being downloaded and used separately, or could you offer a kind of an umbrella app for everything?
It's something we're all wrestling with, because it becomes wheels within wheels within wheels. As to, we tend to use the term hero app. It's who has the hero app, and I think this is one of the interesting brand-related problems we're all going to have. That we obviously, with the companions mimicking the interface people are used to on the main TV screen, we think that's obviously logical. That would logically take you to other people, other apps. They're just a screen away on a tablet device. But we haven't necessarily agreed which is prime. And I think for the customer, it's very difficult as well. Sort of, when I'm in that environment, do I then stay? Do you spawn? It's the same as, in the web metaphor. Do you spawn a new window and keep yours behind, or who gets back where? When you press home, whose home do you go to? And I think we, the customers, broadcasters, everyone, it's a language none of us have actually learnt yet.
Yes.
I'd like to say one of us had the answer, but I don't think we have.
Yes, but still very early days for second screen, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And that second screen is genuinely the second screen. There's actually potentially the third screen, which might be the phone, which is the smaller variant. I don't think any of us have worked out how they're all going to work together, to be honest.
Okay, well, that can give us something to talk about next year, maybe. So,
the fourth screen experience.
Yes. All right, well, thank you very much, Ian, for coming in. Great speaking to you again.
Cheers, thank you very much. Thanks.